You've caught the latest. Catch on KYW.
This is News Radio, KYW 1060, Philadelphia. Group W, Westinghouse Broadcasting, serving Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware from Independence Mall.
Good morning, I'm Ken Matz.
I'm Dick Covington.
It's 81 degrees and sunny on Independence Mall. AccuWeather says scorching heat and sunshine again today, the high 96 degrees. Warm and humid tonight with the chance of a thunderstorm, the low about 75. The top story is at this hour, major headaches for Schuylkill Expressway motorists with only one eastbound lane open at 30th Street following a tractor-trailer accident. And the House Senate Conference Committee hopes to finalize a compromise state budget proposal today. In other news at this hour, the General Accounting Office is investigating 5 cities accused of food stamp overpayments, possibly because of fraud. Among the 5, Philadelphia. The Delaware Valley continues to swelter under a July heat wave. City and state officials are urging conservation of water and electricity. And the UN Security Council is expected to recommend membership for Vietnam to the United Nations today. The United States is not expected to oppose that recommendation.
In sports, Roman Gabriel reports to the Eagle training camp, and it'll be Sutton and Palmer, the starting pitchers in tonight's All-Star game. Group W medical correspondent William Hines will be along to continue this series of special reports on Laetrile, the latest drug to be touted as a cure for cancer. And Richard Maloney will continue with the next in his special series on the Legionnaires disease. KYW News Time, 7:02. Well, the Schuylkill Expressway has an unwanted sweet tooth this morning with the resultant headaches, maybe even a cavity or two for motorists to try to deal with. Let's check in with the Shadow Traffic Network and Rod Carson. Rod?
Okay, well, we do have problems on the Schuylkill Expressway, as you mentioned. An overturned tractor-trailer approaching 30th Street has the right lane closed, and what they're doing now is unloading the overturned tractor-trailer, and they're putting in another tractor-trailer so they can right it. By the way, it was filled with chocolate used in the making of ice cream, and traffic is slow on the Schuylkill Expressway already from approaching Girard through 30th Street. Once again, we would advise alternate routes. If you are coming down from the northeast, I-95, if you come in from the western suburbs, plan on getting off at City Line Avenue or Montgomery Drive and taking either the East or the West River Drive into Center City. But you should avoid the 30th Street area at all costs, at least until they can clear that up. Once again, that's an overturned tractor-trailer approaching 30th Street. The right lane is still closed. Everything else is running right along this morning. Delaware Expressway, I-95 southbound, slow approaching Girard off-ramp. No openings on the bridges, no problems in New Jersey. That's Shadow Traffic for KYW. This is Rod Carson.
KYW News Time, 7:03. And incidentally, with regard to that accident on the expressway, only one minor injury reported, that to the truck driver. Emergency stopgap funds have officially run out in Pennsylvania, but the deadline came and went without anyone or any group seeming to feel the pinch. Budget Secretary Charles McIntosh has even said that the state will probably meet its payroll this week, and welfare recipients will be paid through the end of the month. A report on what to expect today and what happened yesterday from Group W Harrisburg Bureau Chief Sandy Starobin.
A newly revised House Senate Conference Committee will meet today in hopes of getting quick agreement on a budget bill that calls for $535 million in new taxes. Yesterday, the 6-member conference committee hit a stone wall when Senate Majority Leader Thomas Nolan refused to sign the budget compromise. Nolan said he wouldn't approve the budget bill until it included massive spending for senior citizen tax relief. For a conference committee report to go to the floors of the House and Senate, 2 senators and 2 House members have to sign it. With Nolan refusing, that left Henry Cianfrani as the only Senate signer because Republican Richard Tillman was apparently helping his party build an election campaign anti-tax posture. Despite entreaties to Nolan by other Democratic senators, he refused to alter his position, and it appeared an impasse had developed. But late in the day, Nolan and Cianfrani resigned from the conference committee. They were replaced by 2 other Democrats, Henry Messenger of Lehigh County and James Ross of Beaver County, both of whom reportedly favor the compromise. Sandy Starobin, Harrisburg.
If passed, the budget under consideration would raise the personal income tax from 2 to 2.7%. For an individual making $10,000 a year, that would mean an extra $70 in taxes per year. KYW News Time, 7:05. Coming up, the General Accounting Office looks at possible food stamp fraud.
Many happy returns of the day from Mainline Federal. That's the special kind of interest they pay at Mainline Federal. They take the highest interest rate that anyone can pay and compound it day after day after day. Many happy returns of the day from Mainline Federal Savings and Loan.
A passbook savings account at Mainline Federal is not only safe, it's the sensible way to save. Your money earns 5.25% interest from day of deposit to day of withdrawal. And Mainline Federal compounds your interest daily, giving you a big 5.47% annual yield. Your account is insured, too, up to $40,000. And if you need it, you can withdraw your money anytime without notice or penalty. If you don't already have a passbook savings account at Mainline Federal, look into one soon.
Many happy returns of the day from Mainline Federal Savings and Loan.
Member FSLIC.
Free home delivery of the news, morning, noon, and night from KYW News Radio, 1060.
If you're wondering why all Silo Audio World stores are closed Tuesday morning, let me explain. Because while all stores may be locked up on the outside, there's plenty of activity on the inside as every Silo Audio World gets ready to open at 3 p.m. for a sale you won't want to miss. It's the Silo Audio World 6-hour sale with sensational savings on appliances, TVs, air conditioners, and audio equipment. Tuesday and Tuesday only from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can save $23 on a GE Portable Color TV for only $197. Take home a Frigidaire 17 cubic foot no-frost refrigerator and save $62. Save $22 on a Westinghouse 8000 BTU air conditioner, sale priced at only $198. And discover dozens of other great buys throughout the store. If you're out to save money, come out to Silo Audio World Tuesday for the big 6-hour sale. Don't forget, Tuesday, all Silo stores open their doors at 3 p.m. and shut them tight when the sale ends at 9. Hurry, you don't want to be locked out of a sale as good as this.
Something's up at Silo.
AccuWeather's forecast for the Delaware Valley. The heat wave will continue at least through Friday. Days will feature scorching sunshine. Our afternoon temperature is today hitting 93 to 97, then approaching 100 degrees for the rest of the week. Sunny on Independence Mall, still 81 degrees. At the airport officially, we have a reading of 75. Down at the shore, it's not much better. At the Atlantic State Marina this morning, it's 74. KYW News Time, 7:07.
You don't think that chocolate's starting to melt, do you?
Probably. You going to rush over?
No, I don't think I will. Referring, of course, to a tractor-trailer accident on the expressway that could be causing a major headache for Schuylkill Expressway motorists this morning. Only one eastbound lane is open at 30th Street. That tractor-trailer had been carrying chocolate topping for ice cream. The federal government has begun a probe of 5 cities in connection with some $590 million in food stamp overpayments in 1 year. The officially still secret report names Philadelphia and Wilkes-Barre as 2 of the cities under investigation. Sketchy details of the report have been revealed by Illinois Representative Robert Michael. He claims the study prepared by the General Accounting Office shows some of the overpayments are the result of fraud. The GAO intends to publish estimates of the suspected fraud cases in the 5 cities. The agency says it was unable to find enough data for use in estimating food stamp fraud nationwide. In Washington, the House is expected to take up the $5.6 billion food stamp program today. The full text of the report to be released then. KYW News Time, 7:09. The National Cancer Institute says a dry cleaning fluid called PERC has been found to cause cancer in mice and may be harmful to laundry patrons and workers. PERC is the most commonly used cleaning fluid. The executive vice president of the International Fabric Care Institute says if PERC is banned, the result will be dirtier clothes. And dry cleaning spokesmen say the only practical substitute is in violation of fire codes in most cities. The National Cancer Institute says its findings, produced after a 2-year study of the fluid, will be submitted to the federal regulatory agencies for possible action. But Dow Chemical, the manufacturer of perchloroethylene, says its tests on rats produced no cancers. A spokesman for a Los Angeles hospital says Groucho Marx may be able to go home this week. Marx has been hospitalized for nearly a month with a mild form of pneumonia. The spokesman says the 86-year-old comedian is up and around and making eyes at nurses now. KYW News Time, 7:10. Maintenance workers are on strike in Newcastle County, Delaware. The members of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees voted to walk out last night. About 450 park, sewer, landfill, and maintenance workers are involved in the job action. For the second time in less than 2 weeks, Detroit has been hit by a municipal workers' strike. Some 1,200 Teamster Union members, including garbage truck drivers, walked off the job at 12:01 this morning after rejecting the city's latest contract offer. The strike came one day after Detroit's largest union, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, reached tentative agreement on their new contract.
KYW News Time 7:10. All this week, Group W medical correspondent William Hines is examining the controversy over Laetrile. This, of course, is the latest drug to be put forward as a cure for cancer. The medical researchers say it isn't so, and the arguments go on. Of course, we should remember that Laetrile is just the latest in a long line of promised cures. Here's correspondent Hines.
This year, cancer will be diagnosed in well over 1 million Americans. Most of these cancers will be of two types, skin cancer and carcinoma in situ of the mouth of the womb that can be readily controlled if caught early. But about 700,000 cancers will be more difficult to treat, and about half the people who contract them will eventually die. This is a horrible toll of life and suffering, and the fact that orthodox medicine hasn't made more progress in curing cancer, even after years and the expenditure of billions on research, has caused a lot of ordinary people confronted with this disease to look for another remedy. Over the years, there have been a number, the Hoxsey cure, Cribiazin, and others, all eventually discredited as ineffective, or worse, fraudulent. The latest alternative remedy is Laetrile, which orthodox medicine and the official medical spokesman of the federal government say is nothing but quackery. The Laetrile people say that if their therapy were followed, within 20 years, cancer would be, as one of them put it the other day, only a dusty memory in the medical history books. But the government and organized medicine say that Laetrile is dangerous because people who might be cured by standard means delay effective treatment until it is too late. The government says that it is the Food and Drug Administration's duty to keep ineffective medicines off the market. The Laetrile people say their medicine is effective and has never been given a fair test to prove its worth. That's where the controversy stands right now. William Hines, Group W medical correspondent.
Tomorrow morning, Bill will be talking about the battle between proponents of the drug and federal medical authorities. KYW News Time 7:12.
More good news from Continental Bank. Continental introduces the Big Guys, bigger savings certificates with even bigger payoffs. Continental's Big Guys give you, and these are just examples, $2,000 for just $1,267.37. $5,000 for just $3,168.43. That's a mighty big difference between what you put in and what you take out. The Big Guys. They're Continental's big 6-year, 7.5% savings certificates, which compound interest daily for an effective annual yield of 7.9%. And they're available with a minimum of $1,000. Substantial interest penalty required for early withdrawal. It's more good news from the Good News Bank. Find out all about the Big Guys at the Continental office nearest you.
You know you're always number one at Continental Bank.
Member FDIC.
The longer you listen, the more you learn, right here on KYW News Radio 1060.
Tonight's celebrity interviews by Barbara Waters.
We're here with our first weighty. Is it true the White House limousine is a Circle Ford?
Yes. In compliance with Jimmy's cost-cutting program, we received the best price, dinner for two, a ski or bike rack, and 15% off all service bills for life.
Our listening audience would love to hear what you paid.
We got it for peanuts.
Circle Ford, 3000 Westchester Pike in Broomall. Our competitors think doing business ends with a price. We think doing business lasts a lifetime.
I don't think you're going to appreciate my reading of the AccuWeather forecast for the tri-state area, but here it is anyway. The heat wave will continue right on through at least Friday. Days will feature scorching sunshine, pushing those afternoon temperatures to 93 to 97 today, then even closer to 100 for the rest of the week. And that will be close to a record each day. Warm, humid tonight, chance of a thunderstorm, and a low about 75. Sunny on Independence Mall, still 81 at the airport, an official reading of 75. Our winds are out of the west at only 5 miles an hour. Humidity up there at 85%, and the barometer steady at 30.08 inches.
This is KYW, the news center on your radio dial. With Dick Covington, I'm Ken Matz. At the editor's desk, Ed Belkin. Recapping our top stories, major headaches for Schuylkill Expressway motorists with only one eastbound lane open at 30th Street following a tractor-trailer accident. And emergency stopgap funds officially have run out in Pennsylvania. No new budget has been approved, but the state budget secretary says welfare recipients and salaries will continue to be paid at least until the end of the month. Today, the House-Senate Conference Committee tries again to approve a compromise measure that calls for new taxes to be paid largely by the individual through an increase in the state income tax. KYW News Time, 7:15. Time for a check on sports. Here's Dick.
Well, it may have been a little out of season for most of us, but it was Veterans Day down at Widener College yesterday in the Eagles camp. KYW's Ed Kasuba was on hand, too.
Dick Vermeil says there is no comparison between the returning veterans this year and last year as far as physical conditioning is concerned. He's pleased with the efforts made by the veterans in the off-season to stay in shape, although he emphasizes that doesn't necessarily convert into more wins since other teams are working hard also. Even though the veterans weren't required to report to camp until Thursday, all but one responded to the voluntary call of Vermeil to report yesterday. The only holdout is offensive guard John Nyland, who didn't see action last year due to a knee injury suffered in training camp. Vermeil says Nyland didn't feel he was treated fairly by not being listed as a returning starter. Nevertheless, the coach expects Nyland to report here to Widener, although he's not worried about it. As far as the quarterback situation is concerned, Vermeil says the only reason Roman Gabriel is the number 2 signal caller at this time is because he didn't report to camp as ordered a week ago yesterday. Ron Jaworski is now the first-string quarterback, and while Vermeil hopes to minimize any possible problems at that position, he says it's difficult to do so, especially when a team has 2 good quarterbacks. Ed Kasuba, KYW Sports.
Of course, baseball fans all around the world will have their attention on Yankee Stadium tonight for the 48th annual All-Star Game. Billy Martin has named Jim Palmer of Baltimore as his starting pitcher. The American League has now lost 5 in a row, 13 of the last 14 All-Star contests. Sparky Anderson has named the Dodgers' Don Sutton as his starter, and Don brought along his sense of humor.
Players give you a lot of times answers to questions just because you ask them. And if I can't give you an honest answer, I don't want to give you one at all. And honestly, I don't know which is a better league because I've only seen one. And to further be honest with you, in the circle that I travel in, we don't talk about the American League. So how can I say which is better or which is not better? You wanted me to make some statement that you could put down and say Sutton says National League's better than the American League, didn't you? Billy Martin punched a pitcher in Minnesota, and I think it was for less, so...
Of course, the Phillies will be represented on the National League squad by starting left fielder Greg Luzinski. Manager Danny Ozark will be one of the coaches. Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton will also be on hand at Yankee Stadium, but it's rather doubtful that they'll be seeing any action tonight. In tennis, Harold Solomon knocked off Mark Cox 6-2, 6-3 for the singles title in the Western Tennis Championships out in Cincinnati. The 24-year-old Solomon picked up $16,000 for it. He never lost a set in the week-long tournament, playing in searing 90-degree-plus weather. And a son of Triple Crown winner Secretariat was sold last night in Kentucky for $725,000. That price second only to the $1.5 million paid for a Secretariat colt at Keeneland, July selected yearling sale last year. Yet another son of Secretariat, though, was not sold last night when the bidding failed to go beyond the $75,000 mark. That was the reserve price set by the owner. And that's sports for right now. KYW News Time, 7:18.
Coming up in just a moment, sticky and hot weather continues for the Delaware Valley, and with it, some problems.
Have you caught the latest? Catch it on KYW. Catch it on KYW. Someone to turn to. Catch the sports. Catch the time. Catch the weather. Have you caught the latest? Catch it on KYW. Someone to turn to.
Fly the white Castaneda, Northwest Orient. Get that good, comfortable feeling. White cabins in the sky.
You can get that good, comfortable feeling the next time you fly to Detroit aboard a Northwest Orient DC-10. Only Northwest flies these big, roomy jets to Detroit with a breakfast nonstop at 7:50 and an afternoon nonstop at 2:50.
Their convenient schedule also includes a midday nonstop at 1 p.m. and 2 nonstops in the evening. For reservations to Detroit, call a travel agent or the Wide Cabin Airline.
Get that good, comfortable feeling. Wide Cabin in the sky. Fly on Wide Cabin Airline. Somewhere Orient Airlines.
AccuWeather says Mother Nature is going to turn her oven a little higher. The heat wave will continue at least through Friday. Days will feature scorching sunshine, pushing our afternoon temperatures up to 93 to 97 today, then approaching even closer to 100 degrees for the rest of the week. And that will be close to a record each day. Sunny right now in Independence Mall. It's still 81 degrees. At the airport officially it's 75. KYW News Time 7:20, as we said earlier. Our problems on the Schuylkill Expressway started early this morning, and I do mean early, around shortly after 1 o'clock. Of course, approaching 30th Street eastbound is sticky anytime, but it's a little stickier this morning. Right, Rod Carson?
That is certainly true, and the situation really hasn't changed that much since we talked to you over an hour ago. Eastbound on the Schuylkill Expressway, once again, in case you haven't heard, there is an overturned tractor-trailer as you approach the 30th Street Station underpass. It has the right lane completely closed. What they're doing is transferring the cargo from the overturned tractor-trailer to another one before they can right it and get it out of there. Traffic eastbound on the Schuylkill Expressway, as a result, is crawling at about 5 miles per hour from approaching Girard through 30th Street. Naturally, you should avoid the area. If you're coming down from the northeast, I-95 would be your best bet this morning. If you're coming in from the western suburbs, plan on getting off at City Line and taking either the East or the West River Drive into Center City. Of course, the drives only accommodate cars. They will not allow trucks on the drive, so be advised of that. So once again, avoid 30th Street at all costs because the right lane is still closed due to that overturned tractor-trailer. No other big problems to speak of. Everything running right along this morning in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. That's Shadow Traffic for KYW. This is Rod Carson.
KYW News Time, 7:22. The hot and humid weather continues today in the Delaware Valley. Yesterday, Philadelphia Electric reported a new peak output for the year, 5,632,000 kilowatts. Conservation of Energy is advised to avoid any problems with Philadelphia Electric and its 10 interconnecting neighbors in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland power pool. Pennsylvania Public Utility Chairman Lewis Carter says the state power reserves dipped to what he called a dangerous, risky level. The reserves dipping only to 4%, whereas the normal is about 20%. So far, the utilities hope to handle the demand, but as long as the heat wave continues, set your thermostat on your air conditioner as high as you can. Keep storm windows closed, shades down. Watch the use of lights in the daytime. If you can, use your outdoor grill to cook. The use of the stove heats up the inside of your home. The city of Philadelphia is also again set to crack down on illegally opened fire hydrants. Again yesterday, water pressure in many parts of the city dropped as youngsters and possibly some oldsters opened hydrants and watched as 100 million gallons spilled away. More sprinkler caps are available. Ask at your local police station. They can keep you just as cool without wasting water. Well, on the news line with us right now, AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Sobel. Joe, is there any relief in sight for us?
I'm afraid there really is no genuine relief in sight for days and days to come, and meteorologically speaking, that means at least until the end of the week and perhaps through a good part of the weekend. There's one disturbance in the upper atmosphere now that's causing some thunderstorms in Michigan. That will tend to be drifting over us tonight and tomorrow morning. So at that time, there are likely to be a couple of showers and thunder showers around. If they linger on into part of tomorrow, it's likely to prevent it from getting quite as hot. However, it'll still be muggy and very uncomfortably warm, and then the heat wave will resume again in full force toward the end of the week.
Joe, as I understand it, the rest of the country isn't faring too much better.
No, it's pretty widespread. If you consider New England, the Great Lakes, the Northern Plains, the Central Plains, the Southwest, the Gulf Coast, the Southeast, the Middle Atlantic states, all broiling under 90 and 100-degree heat, and there's very little reason for that system to make any changes for the rest of the week either.
Okay, well, thank you, Joe. At least maybe we can look forward to next week and better weather then.
We'll try.
Joe Sobel of AccuWeather. KYW News Time, 7:24. The United Nations Security Council is expected to recommend today that Vietnam be formally admitted to the world body. In May, the United States announced it was dropping its opposition to Vietnamese membership in response to Hanoi's cooperation in the search for American servicemen still missing from the Vietnam War period. Well-placed sources say the U.S. will go for a consensus approval of Vietnamese membership rather than the usual show of hands vote. In the past, the United States has vetoed membership for Vietnam 3 times. In 1975, twice, citing Security Council refusal to consider a South Korean membership application. Those ballots would have considered North and South Vietnam separately. And then in 1976, another veto on the grounds that Vietnam hadn't cooperated on the problem of MIAs.
KYW News Time 7:25. Late last summer, Philadelphia and much of the country was gripped with the fear of an epidemic which had struck among a convention of Pennsylvania American Legionnaires. Taking a one-year retrospective look at the disease and its effect, KYW's Richard Maloney has prepared a special series of reports. In this fourth part, Richard examines the State Legion organization itself.
About this time last year, thousands of Pennsylvania American Legionnaires converged on Philadelphia for their annual convention. It was to be like the rest of their meetings, a chance for old soldiers to get together to swap war stories, meet in committees to decide on national policy for veterans they would lobby in favor of, to march in the annual parade, and generally enjoy themselves. All went well until they returned to their homes around the Commonwealth. Many of the Legionnaires became sick, and many died. The cause of the epidemic, which sickened and killed so many of the Legionnaires, has apparently been found. It's a new and deadly form of pneumonia. But what of the Legion organization itself? I spoke with State American Legion Adjutant Edward Hoke.
I don't really think the effect of the disease has really hurt our organization too much. It has hurt us to the extent, though, that many of our leaders are not available now. And some of the ones that were sick just don't seem to have the energy and don't put forth the effort in Legion activities that they used to put into our organization.
Another problem is money. Some of the victims are still trying to pay medical bills. Hoke says the State Legion so far has raised $25,000 and hopes to double that amount in the next year. This week, the State Legion is meeting for its annual convention in Pittsburgh. And Hoke says last year's tragedy is not keeping members away.
We have more people going to this convention. The hotels in Pittsburgh, our headquarters hotel, the Hilton Hotel, was sold out about 3 or 4 months ago. And we get reports that some Legionnaires are way out, maybe 30 miles outside of the city of Pittsburgh, that's the only place they could find accommodations.
Usually the convention alternates between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Hoke says he sees no reason not to return to Philadelphia next year, but adds that's up to this year's convention to decide. This is Richard Maloney, KYW News Radio.
The next in Richard's series in just 15 minutes. KYW News Time, 7:27.
At Pantry Pride, we like it understood. We feel great when you feel good. And you'll feel good about our people, 'cause we care about you. You'll feel good about our products and our prices too. At Pantry Pride, we like it understood. We feel great when you feel good. Yes, we feel great when you feel good.
And look what they have specials on. Sugar, bacon, eggs. You buy them regularly, so get them where the buy is best. Check the newspaper ad. Clip the Limit 1 coupons and get 5 pounds Pantry Pride sugar for 68 cents, a pound of fine taste bacon, 99 cents, and Grady A medium eggs, 39 cents a dozen. And more good news, this week double coupon value days on manufacturer coupons. Details in the newspaper ad.
We feel great when you feel good.
Resort weather in a moment.
Fidelity Bank has lowered the cost of your new car because our new car loans cost you less than most other car loans. On this new Oldsmobile Cutlass, for instance, Fidelity can save you up to $106.88 on your new car loan. On this new Plymouth Fury station wagon, Fidelity can save you up to $104.63. And on this Lincoln Mark V, Fidelity can save you up to $225. On whatever new car you want to buy, a new car loan from Fidelity may save you money. See our newspaper advertisements to compare Fidelity's low auto loan rates with other auto loan rates. So while you shop for a new car, shop at Fidelity Bank, too. Just call us at 985-8181, and we'll start lowering the cost of your new car at Fidelity Bank. an equal opportunity lender.
AccuWeather's forecast for the Jersey Shore, mainly sunny, hot today, a high of 92. We may have a thunderstorm tonight, low of 72. Tomorrow, morning cloudiness, but sunshine and heat will return by tomorrow afternoon, and a high again of 92. Those ocean water temperatures are still in the lower 70s. For the Poconos, hot, humid today, morning sunshine giving way to some afternoon cloudiness, a thunderstorm or two mid-afternoon into the night. High today of 90, an overnight low for the Poconos, hot, humid today, morning sunshine giving way to some afternoon cloudiness, a thunderstorm or two mid-afternoon into the night. High today of 90, an overnight low of 67. Here at 7:30 in the morning, check of aviation weather at North Philadelphia Airport. Clear skies, visibility 10 miles now, surface winds 270 degrees at only 5 knots. Shuttle City weather in the last hour in Boston. Sunny and 76. New York sunny, 81 already. Washington sunny and 79. In Miami it's sunny and 82. Montreal mostly cloudy, 71. Toronto is partly cloudy and 73.
Continuing with the news, this is KYW Philadelphia News Radio in the Delaware Valley. I'm Ken Mack.
I'm Dick Covington.
AccuWeather says scorching heat. Sunshine again today, the high 96 degrees. Warm, humid tonight with a chance of a thunderstorm, the low about 75. Right now it's 82 and sunny on Independence Mall. The top stories at this hour, only one eastbound lane on the Schuylkill Expressway is open at 30th Street. An overturned tractor trailer is causing traffic problems there. And the House Senate Conference Committee tries to reach agreement on a compromise budget proposal in Harrisburg today. In other news, it's a public hearing on a proposed rate increase for Philadelphia Gas Works. The session at City Council chambers at 10 this morning. The July heat wave continues, and with it problems with electricity and water. Officials urge conservation. And Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin meets with President Carter this morning on the Israeli plan for a Middle East peace.
In sports, the 48th All-Star Game up at Yankee Stadium tonight tops a week of Major League Baseball dedicated to Jackie Robinson, who broke the color barrier 30 years ago. Coming up, we'll have a next installment in Richard Maloney's series of reports on the Legionnaires' disease. KYW News Time, 7:32. Let's check in now with the Shadow Traffic Network, see if things have improved there at 30th Street especially. Rod Carson?
Nothing has improved at this point. The right lane is still closed where there is an overturned tractor trailer approaching 30th Street eastbound on the Schuylkill Expressway. The only change that we have is traffic's backing up worse. It's back to Montgomery Drive now, and it's crawling along from Montgomery Drive through 30th Street, where there is only one lane open in that direction, moving at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We would advise, once again, that if you're coming in from the northeastern suburban areas or northeast Philadelphia to take I-95 this morning, or if you're coming in from the western areas, be prepared to get off at City Line Avenue and take either the East or the West River Drive. They're in good shape this morning. They're rolling right along. You'll save a lot of time. If you insist on staying on the Schuylkill Expressway, you're going to have major delays this morning. Once again, that's an overturned tractor trailer. The right lane is closed approaching 30th Street. Delaware Expressway, I-95 southbound. Traffic is slow as you approach the Girard off-ramp. No problems on the westbound Schuylkill Expressway. Everything else in pretty good shape this morning. No problems in New Jersey. No bridge openings. That's Shadow Traffic for KYW. This is Rod Carson.
KYW News Time, 7:33. The state of Pennsylvania technically should be out of funds today. Emergency stopgap monies were to run out at midnight last night in lieu of a new budget measure. But Budget Secretary Charles McIntosh says in all likelihood, welfare recipients will be paid through the end of the month. And paychecks for state employees should also be covered through the end of July. Yesterday in the legislature, the 6-member House Senate Conference Committee, a problem developed on a compromise budget when Senate Majority Leader Thomas Nolan refused to sign the document because it failed to include massive spending for senior citizens. Later in the day, Nolan and Senator Henry Cianfrani resigned from the committee. They were replaced by Henry Messenger of Lehigh County and James Ross of Beaver County, both who apparently favor the compromise. The budget under consideration includes an increase in the personal income tax amounting to $70 per year for an individual with an income of $10,000 a year. Today, the committee hopes for quick agreement on the measure. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia School District's budget remains in limbo, awaiting a statewide fiscal plan. The school district has been forced to make several severe personnel and program cutbacks, anticipating only limited revenues. At yesterday's board meeting, the members heard 16 people testifying against proposed layoffs of librarians and counselors. Several people testified that school librarians are vitally needed by our youth. And Mrs. Pearl Siegel A former guidance counselor spoke of the students' need for professional guidance.
The purpose of school counseling is to free the child to learn. Counseling enhances the learning experience. A counselor in each school provides continuity of service as children move from school to school. One of the characteristics of our mobile society is that children change schools as many as 4 or 5 times a year.
Mrs. Siegel also says the counselors help the students make a smooth transition from school to school, grade to grade. KYW News Time, 7:35. Coming up, details on a public hearing on a rate increase request from Philadelphia Gas Works.
Barbara, hurry. 5 seconds to airtime. 4.
Don't step on my lines, Harry. I'm warning you.
Just keep counting your money, Barbara.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Wiesner.
And I'm Harry Walters.
World War III a possibility, all disease wiped out, but the big story is taking place in Philadelphia, where an incredible summer clearance sale is going on at Boyd's Men's Store. Juan Edwards is at Boyd's with the story.
Barbara, Harry, people are driving back to Philadelphia from all over the suburbs and South Jersey because Boyd's is selling Bill Blass, Cardin, and Yves Saint Laurent suits for $98 to $138.
One designer suit sell for $200-300, not $98. What are they charging for alterations?
Barbara, alterations are free.
Does Boyd's have a 34 short?
Harry, you can't wear a 34 short.
I know, but Barbara can.
I'll get you for that, Harry.
Come back to Philadelphia. Cardin, Laurent, Bill Blass suits, $98 to $138. Now at Boyd's.
Catch expanded stock market reports at 12:50 and 4:50 every business day. Catch them right here on KYW News Radio 1060.
Why is Bank Americard becoming Visa?
Coming, going, changing, growing, the things that make up life.
America, you've been changing. You do more, travel more, demand more of life. Today, you need money that's good not only around the corner, but wherever life takes you. That's why Bank Americard is becoming Visa, the most widely recognized card in the world. To keep up with you, now, all across America, and in 117 countries around the world, there's Visa.
New York to Oregon, now it's Visa. 117 countries around the world, it's Visa. Coming, going, changing, growing. Visa brings it all together. Visa makes the world a pleasure. Now it's Visa.
Until your Visa card arrives, Bank Americard is still good as gold. But soon, around the world, it'll be Visa. We're keeping up with you.
AccuWeather's forecast for the tri-state area. No help in sight. The heat wave continuing at least through Friday. Days featuring scorching sunshine. Our highest today getting up to 93 to 97, then approaching even closer to 100 degrees for the rest of the week. Sunny, 82 degrees right now in Independence Mall. At the airport, its last official reading was 75. Again, we remind you, motorists eastbound on the Schuylkill Expressway, only one lane open at 30th Street because of a tractor-trailer accident. You're advised to get off at Montgomery Drive, or better still, get on further out. Get off the expressway, that is, and onto the East River or West River Drive and make your way in. KYW News Time, 7:38.
For customers of Philadelphia Gas Works, this is an important day in City Council chambers. A report from KYW's Pam Haynes.
The second round of hearings on a rate increase for Philadelphia Gas Works begins this morning in City Council chambers. The Gas Works won a 16% increase after hearings in May before the Gas Commission. However, consumers and senior citizens groups marched into court, claiming the hearings were run in such a way as to deny their 14th Amendment right of due process. Last month, Common Pleas Court Judge Paul Chalfin agreed and ordered new hearings. The Gas Works will be seeking an increase of almost 22% this time around. If the increase granted by the Commission is 16% or lower, the hike will be retroactive to July 1st. This morning's hearing gets underway at 10. Further hearings will be held on Thursday at 10, Tuesday the 26th at 11, Wednesday the 27th at 2 o'clock, and the following day also at 2. All hearings will take place in City Council's chambers on the 4th floor of City Hall. Pam Haynes, KYW News Radio.
KYW News Time, 7:39. The U.S. Transportation Department says it may soon give up on plans to protect the Northeast Rail Corridor of Amtrak with chain-link fences. So far, only one state has agreed to go along with funding measures, Massachusetts. Amtrak's C.E. Bertrand says the fence probably won't help anyway. He says to be effective, such protective device should be at least 100 feet high with 100,000 volts of electric going through it.
And I believe him. KYW News Time 7:39. Researchers have discovered the cause of the deadly Legionnaires' disease, but they really don't know much else about it. The big question is, could it strike again as it did here in Philadelphia last summer? This is the subject of the fifth in a special series of reports by KYW's Richard Maloney.
While it appears that medical investigators know the cause of Legionnaire's disease, that's really about all they know about it. They believe it's not a new disease, but rather one which has been around all along and has been hidden behind its pneumonia-like symptoms. The source is a bacterium which has only been recently discovered and as yet doesn't even have a name. The researchers know from the outbreak last summer and from 19 other cases which have been discovered around the country that the disease is probably not communicable. It is not passed from one person to another. But where does it originate? How does it breed? In what environment does it live? How does it choose its victim? None of these questions have answers. Another puzzle is, why did it strike the Legionnaires in epidemic proportions while all subsequent cases have been isolated all around the country? Nobody knows. There is a good indication that there have been many more cases of this odd disease than have been positively identified. Legionnaire's disease is a form of pneumonia, and its victims have been labeled as suffering from pneumonia alone. An insidious aspect of Legionnaire's disease is the fatality rate. Almost 1 in 3 people who contract it die. So, what are the chances of it striking again as it did last summer? Dr. David Frazier of the Center for Disease Control.
I think, judging from past experience, where it has happened at least 4 times in the last 12 years, one could expect that it might happen again sometime. We don't know enough about what caused outbreaks to occur in one place or another to be able to predict where and when such an outbreak would occur. So I would have to say that could happen.
The research continues. This is Richard Maloney, KYW News Radio.
The next report in this series in just 25 minutes. KYW News Time 7:41.
For people on the go, it's Wawa Food Market. Fast shopping night and day.
At Wawa, we save you time. You can park right at the door, and there's no long supermarket checkout lines. We'll get you in and out in minutes. We call it Wawa Saving Time, and wow, is it fast.
I got tired of being a supermarket shopping cart jockey. Now I shop fast at Wawa.
Before I catch my train, I shop fast at Wawa. I've never missed the 518.
We ran out of ice at the party, so I slipped out the back door and went to Wawa. Nobody would have missed me if I hadn't locked myself out.
Stop and say hello. Wawa Food Markets are open from early morning till late at night, 7 days a week. You always shop fast because we run on Wawa Saving Time.
Fast shopping night and day.
Westinghouse Broadcasting was first in radio news in 1920. We still are, because when it comes to radio news, we wrote the book.
Springfield Ford, Delaware County's largest Ford dealer, is first to announce its 1977 clearance. Now is the time to get your choice of all models and equipment at clearance sale prices. Take advantage of special savings on Granadas. Springfield Ford has made a large purchase of air-conditioned Granadas, which makes it possible for them to sell you these air-conditioned Granadas at the unbelievable price of $47.95, all with immediate delivery. Hurry right now to Springfield Ford, 50 East Baltimore Pike on the Golden Mile in Springfield, Delaware County's largest Ford dealer.
AccuWeather's forecast for the tri-state area calls for more of the worst. Here's AccuWeather meteorologist Jerry Tracy.
The heat wave will be with us in full force the rest of the week. Each of the next several days will be hot and humid with hazy sunshine. Afternoon temperatures will be well up in the 90s, and there's actually a chance the century mark will be reached tomorrow or Thursday. A high-pressure cell anchored off the east coast is the reason for the blistering heat, not only here, but throughout the eastern two-thirds of the nation. And as long as that high remains in position, there's little chance of any real relief. Most of the next 3 days will be sunny, but a band of clouds and showers now over Lake Erie will move southeastward during the next 18 hours, and so most of us will probably see a thunder shower or two tonight. The upper-level system associated with that moisture will move away tomorrow, although some cloudiness will linger in the morning. For the All-Star game in New York City tonight, there may also be a thunder shower, but it's unlikely to hold up the Midsummer Classic for more than an hour or so. For AccuWeather, this is meteorologist Jerry Tracy.
Sunny on Independence Mall. It's now up to 82 degrees. Our last official reading at the airport was 75. Winds out of the west at only 5 miles an hour. Humidity up there at 85%. The barometer steady at 30.08 inches.
This is KYW, the news center on your radio dial. With Dick Covington, I'm Ken Matz. At the editor's desk, Ed Belkin. Recapping our top stories. Only one eastbound lane on the Schuylkill Expressway is open at 30th Street. An overturned tractor-trailer is causing a traffic problem there. And the House Senate Conference Committee hopes to present a compromise budget to the full legislature today in Harrisburg. Pennsylvania has been without emergency stopgap funds since midnight last night. But so far, no one's reporting a pinch. The state budget secretary says welfare payments and salaries will continue to be met until the end of the month. KYW News Time, 7:45. Time for a check on sports, and here's Dick.
Well, the sports world, more especially baseball fans and the players themselves, are gearing up for tonight's 48th annual All-Star Game at Yankee Stadium. I'm sure you know the starting lineups by now, which include Greg Luzinski of the Phillies in left field. The Dodgers' Don Sutton, with a 10-4 record, will start for the National League, and it'll be the Orioles' Jim Palmer for the American League. He's 11-8 at the halfway mark of the season, incidentally. Now, the entire week has been dedicated to the memory of the great Jackie Robinson, who would observe 30 years in the majors this year. The National League's honorary captain, Willie Mays, this year remembers.
Number one, I remember in 42nd, when Jackie first broke into baseball, I said to myself, now I have a chance to come into professional baseball. I remember talking to Jackie on a lot of occasions about baseball. This man had a great deal of knowledge of baseball. I ran like him by watching the ball backwards. So when I say backwards, I ran forward, but looking at the ball all the time. I think he wasn't bitter about going through the things that he had to go through because he was the first, and he accepted that. I feel right now, if it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't be here now as being the honorary captain of the All-Star Game. And when you talk about him, you just don't have words to say about a man like that. And I feel very honored to, have known Jackie.
Willie Mays. Now, Jackie's widow, Rachel, will throw out the first ball up at Yankee Stadium tonight as Major League Baseball honors the man who broke the color barrier 30 years ago. Well, all the Eagles are now in the nest down at Widener, with the exception of veteran guard John Nyland, who's unhappy. Roman Gabriel on hand with his bank account a bit lighter for not reporting on time, a week late. But he seems to be reporting with the proper attitude nonetheless, even to the point of helping his main competition for the starting quarterback job, Ron Jaworski.
If I'm good enough to play, which I feel I am, no matter how much I help him, I'm still going to be good enough to win. That's the way I have to look at it. If I go from the other standpoint, which some guys do, but I'm not able to do that. I'd be hurting the team if I don't try to relay or try to help him if he's going to play. As I just said about Earl Morrall's job, the great thing about his position is they're winning. And if you can help that happen, and if you're not playing, you can be satisfied.
Gabe says he doesn't think there will be any problems between himself and Jaworski, who also came to the Eagles from the Rams. Gabriel says that as long as there's mutual respect, everything will be just fine. And that's sports for right now. KYW News Time, 7:48.
Coming up, continued hot, muggy weather means water and electricity problems for the Delaware Valley.
Monk's Bread wants you to discover how good bread can be. That's why we bake Monk's Bread with the finest ingredients, the kind you'd use if you baked it yourself. Try all three regular Monk's Bread varieties: white, whole wheat, and raisin. Discover old-fashioned goodness from Monk's Bread.
Backed by Stroman Brothers from prepared mix supplied through the Abbey of the Genesee.
For the latest in traffic developments, catch the Shadow Traffic Network right here on KYW News Radio 1060.
What can you buy for 21 cents? Probably 2 packages of chewing gum.
21 cents or less? You sure? Not much.
Are you serious?
A guitar pick.
You can still buy an airmail stamp for 21 cents.
Boy, not...
Oh, I can't think of a thing. Not for 21 cents.
If you're like most people who think 21 cents doesn't go very far these days, Bell of Pennsylvania would like you to know that same 21 cents can go a long, long way, long distance. Because 21 cents plus tax is the most it will cost you to spend a minute with anyone, anywhere in the continental United States except Alaska. Just call without operator help between 11 at night and 8 in the morning, or on weekends until 5 p.m. on Sunday. But see our newspaper ad for details. And by the way, if you do talk longer, every minute that follows is even cheaper than the first.
AccuWeather's forecast for the tri-state area. Our heat wave continuing at least through Friday. The days will feature some scorching sunshine. Our afternoon highs today expected to hit 93 to 97 and then even closer to 100 degrees for the rest of the week. Sunny, 82 degrees on Independence Mall. Our last official reading at the airport was 75. In the northern and western suburbs, generally, it's 74 degrees this morning. KYW News Time, 7:50. Big problems eastbound on the Schuylkill Expressway this morning as you try to get into town. Let's get the latest now from the Shadow Traffic Network and Rod Carson. Rod?
Well, the right lane is still blocked approaching 30th Street eastbound on the Schuylkill Expressway, where they are transferring about 35,000 pounds of chocolate used in the making of ice cream from an overturned tractor trailer into another one. And until they can transfer the load, that's going to be closed for a time. Traffic right now is crawling from Montgomery Drive through 30th Street. After there, it does open up, and if you're going down to the airport, if you want to wait it out, you have a clear shot. Schuylkill Expressway westbound, only a momentary slow up around South Street. No other big problems. Delaware Expressway, I-95 southbound, just a bit slow approaching Girard. We would still advise an alternate route to stay away from the eastbound Schuylkill Expressway at 30th Street. The drives are in good shape. That's Shadow Traffic for KYW. This is Rod Carson.
KYW News Time, 7:51. Now, with yet another day of 90-degree temperatures on tap, the chairman of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, Lewis Carter, is appealing to the public to conserve electricity. Chairman Carter says the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland power pool has dipped below a 4% reserve. The normal reserve is about 20%. Lewis Carter is asking the public to keep air conditioners 10 degrees cooler than outside, keep unneeded lights turned off, and keep other electrical appliances off whenever possible. Philadelphia Electric reported its highest output of the year yesterday at 5 p.m. Consumer use totaling over 500,600,000 kilowatts. That's more than 300,000 kilowatts higher than any other day this year. The city is also asking the public to help conserve water. It's cracking down on illegal use of fire hydrants. The Water Department estimates it's losing more than 100 million gallons a day because residents are keeping the hydrants open. The city is making more sprinkler caps available, and water, streets, and fire and police officials have an order to shut down any hydrant operating without a sprinkler cap. In the North Penn area of Montgomery County, the local water company has been forced to take even sharper measures. KYW Suburban Bureau Chief Jay Lloyd has details.
In the past week, consumption has risen by 20% in an area where dwindling water supplies have long been a concern. Until now, voluntary water usage restraints had been urged, but yesterday the North Penn Water Authority issued a mandatory ban on the use of sprinklers and garden hoses. It backed up the directive with a threat to cut off service to anyone who defies the ban. The company serves an area in and around Lansdale and Sotterton with a population of about 40,000 and depends totally on well water, which has been dropping for more than a year. Authority Manager Harry Borchers says that if consumption, which rose sharply with the arrival of the heat wave, continues at the current rate, the company will be forced to tap storage tanks, which have supplies to last only a day and a half, and that includes water for fire protection. Meanwhile, on the plus side, at the Philadelphia Suburban Water Company, whose reservoirs serve most of the Bucks, Chester, Delaware, and Montgomery County communities, everything appears normal. This is Jay Lloyd, KYW News Radio.
KYW News Time, 7:53. The new Prime Minister of Israel is to meet with President Carter this morning. Menachem Begin is expected to be ready to outline the Israeli plan for a Middle East peace. He's looking forward to the talks.
I hope serious and important discussions will start between President Carter and myself and our advisors. We all hope that as a result of those meetings, friendship between the United States of America and the State of Israel will be deepened and progress will be made towards real peace in the Middle East.
It's believed the Israeli secret plan involves the use of Foreign Minister Moshe Dayan, but reflects a softening of the Begin determination to retain control of the West Bank of the Jordan and the Gaza Strip. Menachem Begin has scheduled a news conference for tomorrow to explain the contents of his meeting with the president today. KYW News Time, 7:54. In Syria, the government newspaper has reacted to the talks between the Israeli Prime Minister and President Carter by predicting the Israelis will come away with more arms aid and an intransigence toward the Arab states. The paper, in an editorial, added that the optimism about peace in the Middle East has begun to fade. President Carter has quashed the idea of a special prosecutor to look into alleged influence buying on Capitol Hill by the South Korean government. A report from correspondent Joe Templeton in Washington.
Howard Baker, Republican leader in the Senate, called the president's decision a serious mistake and said he hopes Mr. Carter will reconsider. While noting the South Korean influence buying on Capitol Hill may not amount to another Watergate, Baker said we should investigate this matter with the same impartiality and diligence that there was in the investigation of the Watergate scandal and let the chips fall where they may. Baker feels that by refusing to name a special prosecutor, the president will raise doubts in the minds of many about whether the congressional investigation was all that thorough. Baker thinks Philip Lacavera, who resigned as chief counsel of the House Ethics Committee, would make a great special prosecutor. Joe Templeton, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Now, House Speaker Thomas O'Neill says that Ethics Committee Chairman John Flint has suggested the Korean investigation should be transferred to another House panel. The Flint Committee hearings would be held today to see if further action should be taken and the investigation possibly moved out of the Ethics Committee. KYW News Time, 7:55.
A recent KYW editorial called for an independent, elected school board in Philadelphia to try and solve the school district's financial problems. Here with another point of view is Mrs. Dorothy Fairby, that is, a Philadelphia parent and taxpayer.
Whether appointed or elected, the people of Philadelphia should vigorously oppose a school board with the power to levy taxes. It is enough that we have legislative bodies with the power to tax. At least they determine taxation for the total needs of the community and thus keep the different areas in perspective. It is enough that we have taxes levied at the federal level, at the state level, and at the municipal level. To add a particular group to this structure, perfectly willing to milk the taxpayers dry, would really be bad news. To have one group able to levy taxes for the sole use of that group would make the potential for corruption even greater than it is now. The school board members, already riding in luxurious limousines, could treat themselves to many more goodies, while the rest of us practically go hungry trying to pay the taxes. It is true that real estate taxes for schools are inadequate and too heavy a burden for the tax base from which they are drawn. But it should be possible to devise school taxes which would be borne by all without hurting anyone too much. Of course, all taxes hurt, usually those least able to pay, but they could be made as fair as possible and should be left to those responsible for the total community, which certainly includes our children and their educational needs.
That was another point of view by Mrs. Dorothy Fairby. For printed copies, write to KYW, Philadelphia.
What makes Acme's everyday low prices so important? Listen to the results of a comparison shopping test.
Now Mrs. Stevens has returned from the other store, so we'll compare the totals. What were they here at Acme Super Saver?
$72.68.
And at the other store for the same items?
$76.28.
Okay, Mrs. Stevens, what was the saving?
$3.60.
Less here at Acme Super
Right.
Saver, and that's without coupons.
Right.
Were you surprised by that?
Surprised the other store was so expensive.
You've just heard a comparison shopper show that Acme's Super Savings every day saved her money on her total food bill. But you also want big specials every week. Well, then listen to this.
This week at Acme Super Saver, get special savings on Lancaster brand sirloin steaks. Full cut, no tenderloin removed, only $1.48 a pound. Just $1.48 a pound. And sweet Santa Rosa red plums, 2 pounds for only 89 cents at Acme Super Saver Markets.
The marine forecast in a moment.
There's no better time than now to save on a loan for the home improvements you need. Like insulating your attic, adding storm windows and doors, paneling a room, adding a bath, converting your garage, finishing your basement, or remodeling your kitchen. Next winter's heating costs are sure to be higher, and builder's costs may never be lowered. So if you have the plans but need the cash, Central Penn may have the loan to fit your budget. Come in and check our low rates and affordable monthly payments. Central Penn also offers loans for your new car, home mortgage, vacation, just about any worthwhile purpose. Find out how we can help you get the things you need. Visit your Central Penn office soon. An equal housing lender.
Now that marine forecast. Gentle, variable, mainly westerly winds through tomorrow, except moderate gusts during the afternoon hours. Visibility is 3 to 5 miles and haze, except locally 1 mile or less in morning fog. Wave height, remain a foot or less on the bays, so 2 to 3 feet on the